Okay, so we'll go ahead now. Now I want to look at using the str underscore locate on the variable joke and underscore identifier. Okay, so I'm adding the pattern. So it's still going to be something like Clint. Okay, so if we run this line of code, you can see wherever there is no occurrence of Clint, it's returning back NAs. So actually, we wouldn't be needing this much, but it's something that, okay, now you know how to use str underscore locate. So let's go ahead to another function. So now the second function we're going to be looking is going to be in the subset section of the cheat sheets. So it's going to subset. Okay, some of the tricks that you can use in shortcuts in RStudio is that you can press down your Ctrl+Shift+C to comment out a line. So now we'll look at str underscore sub. We want to look at subsetting now. So if you want to know more about that, then just use the control and the question mark, type the name of the function, then just click Control, Enter, or we click the run button here. So this brings up a help documentation, the R documentation on the str underscore sub. So here it's extracting and replacing, it extract and replace strings from a character. So it's the arguments that is being passed in this. So all you need to do is just pass in the string, the beginning where you want to start the extraction, and the end. So you want to tell it, okay, omit NAs or not. Then the value, maybe you want to make a replacement now, you have to pass in the value that you're using to replace that string, the string. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do this. So str underscore sub. So I want to copy the string that we'll use in here. Okay, sorry, I had to mute everybody. Okay, so go ahead. So I put a comma, then I want to state where the extraction should start from. So let's say, okay, this we have 1. Oh, okay, I'm taking out this one. So what I want to do is that I want to, first of all, extract Clint the drunk. I want to extract that. So I'm starting from 1. Then end value is going to be, that will be 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's going to stop on the 14th character that it needs. So let's look at that. So you can see what we have returned is the Clint, is extracted out Clint the drunk. So we'll go back. Now let's say we want to replace what we have there. So we'll pass in the value. So value is going to be equal to, okay, maybe let's make it slint the drunk. So okay, sorry, I think there's a problem here. Okay. Okay. So the here I want to look at the there's a problem here. Okay, we'll go ahead and look at str. We want to use it on the variable joke identifier. So str underscore sub. So I want to use it on the comedian joke identifier. So I'll pass in the same start and the same end values. Okay. So if we look at this, we wouldn't want to say it makes sense here because we're only focusing on Clint the drunk. We're not looking at the other values that are available there. So here we're getting something that is doesn't really apply to what we want to achieve at the end of the day. So that is something that we have to treat later as we move on in the class. So here now you can see we can extract a value by using the str underscore sub to get out the value that we want from a string by passing in the start number and the end value. So this one helps us to tell the function where to start the extraction and where to end it. So we'll go to the next function. That's going to be subset. And this is going to be much more interesting. Underscore subset. So here, I want to pass in the value. That's the same variable, comedy underscore. Then the joke identifier. We're going to send in the pattern. Here we're going to give a pattern that we want to extract. So it's going to be Clint the drunk. Okay. So we're going to, there's another value that we can use here, that's negate. But let's run this as a default function. So if you look up here, it's sending back Clint the drunk to me, but it's only focusing on where the value is true. It's now sending in Clint the drunk, but other values that are there is still being returned. So now what I want to tell the function is negate, passing a value, negate, and assign false to it. Because I don't want any other value. I want only where Clint the drunk is available. So this is just the same thing as what we have in other functions that we've come across before. So looking at all the patterns, so we can see we have everywhere where Clint the drunk is being returned back to us. So, but if we make the negative true by default, it's going to return all the lines, everything that will passing into it for this variable. So we'll move on. So the next function that we're going to look at is str underscore match. So it's working on vectorized strings, and it's going to accept patterns as well. So here I'm going to use the same variable, or we might decide to use maybe the response ID. Okay, let me use the response ID. Then I want to pass in the pattern. So I'll use Clint. So what str underscore match does is that it extracts the pattern that is being sent. It extracts it from wherever it comes across where the pattern is true, and send back as an output the exact pattern that was passed into the function. So wherever the occurrence of that pattern is not available, it's going to return any as the value, as the output for that observation. That's the line, the row where Clint is not available. There's no match for Clint. So that's what the functionality does. So the next function that I'll be looking at is that will be str underscore extract. So like I want to go back to the str underscore match. You know, NAs are being returned. You can filter out the NAs in cases where you don't want to have the NAs. So by using the functions is.NAs, so that is.NA. So you can use that to take out all the the values that are corresponding to NAs there. So you can do that within the mutate function. Okay, please just send in your questions through the chat interface. You can send in your questions through the chat interface. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and look at the extract function within the string package. So I'll use, let me use one of the values there. I'll just copy out something like Alibaba. So here I'll pass in the pattern that I want to take out. Let's say I'm looking at extracting the name of the comedian. So Alibaba. So I can say, so it's going to extract out just that value. That's the pattern, the value corresponding to the pattern that we passed in. So this can help a lot when we have mixed values that we can use going forward into our modeling for the machine learning project. So here, instead of combining the name of the comedian the location where the event took place, the version. Now that's the version of the event. This is second series. So we can decide to separate out all this information into different variables or different columns within our data set. So we can go ahead and look at that. So another thing is that we can use another version of str underscore extract Okay, we want to look at underscore all. So for this one, I'm going to use the same values, but with a little twist. So it's going to be, to compare, it's going to be like Alibaba. So if I use the first line of code, it's going to return the first occurrence, while for extract all, it's going to take out all the occurrences that it comes across. All the occurrences are being returned now. So if we look at applying this to the variable, let me see, str underscore extract on, that will become me the okay, pattern is equal to Alibaba. So I'll send that in now. So we have so much of the NAs, Alibaba NAs and all this stuff. So we can, if you want to take out all these values, you can just kind of pipe it into, converting it into something like a table. Let's say table, so that we can use the functionality is.na. So I'll send this and then filter. I'll filter, I'm looking at this is NA. So first of all, I'll take the first line like this. Let's see what that's going to return to us. So here I have a bunch of NAs. Then we have Alibaba. So I'll go back. Now I want to take out all the NAs. So I'm going to say where you have to return back where there are no NAs. I want only the ones that are having Alibaba. Okay, so I need to pass in what's the value here. Okay, that will be value, the name of the column. So it's going to be value here. So let's see. So now I have returned back to me now is the value, all the observations and all the rows where I was successfully able to extract Alibaba. So we have like 82,929 rows where Alibaba occurred. So and we were able to extract all these values out into a column with the name value. So you can do that with extract all and take out where you have empty values being returned. So this one now. So we'll go ahead. Let's look at another. Okay, we'll go back to the cheat sheets. Now we have, which other one should we look at? Okay. So here we want to look at the length of our strings. So it's going to be the section where we're managing the length of our string. So manage lengths. So here. So we use str_length. So I want to use this. Okay, let's check out the length of this string. So now we have 23 returned back. It's returning back a numeric value to us. So it's going to be all the characters here are being counted, including the spaces in between the characters. So that gives us 23. So we'll move on. We're going to look at str_pad. So we want to look at padding our string. So for str_pad, we're going to look at padding within our strings. So I'm going to create an example. Okay. Or we'll pass in this value. Control C. Pass it in. Then we'll tell this function, we have to pass in the width. Maybe we can say 15. 15 should be, that will be less than the length of the character, the string itself. So let's give it like something like 30. So that's the width. Then where do I want the padding to occur? So which side am I going to tell str_pad to add the padding? So it's going to be, we'll start with the right side. So if you look into the console, you can see there's kind of padding here with space. That's the default value that is going to be used. It's going to use spaces to pad where there are no characters available on the right side, because the width of the string that we're passing in is greater than the length of our string itself. So, but if we are using any value that is smaller than the length of our string, it's going to have no effect on it. So let's use something like 20. So 20 still returns back our character. So we can see that okay, the same string is being returned back to us. So the same thing, you can change this to be maybe left. Let's try that now. So okay, I'll change this so that we can see the effect, and I'll change this to 30. So we can see the padding is on the left. So we can also assign both as the value for the sides. So the padding will be on both sides now. So, but if the value of the width is less than the length of the string that we're looking at, there will be no effect. It's not going to have no effect on the string. So moving on, we want to also truncating our value. That's the string that we're working with. So truncate. So truncating, you can, let's look at what we have here. str underscore truncate. So for the truncate, you can have so the values that you want to send in, just the same thing as the string, the width, then decide where you want to the truncating to be applied. So here we can, let's pass in the side. So which side are we looking at now? We can look at the left. So left side. So with this, I would also want to assign the width. So maybe like something like 6. So if you look at what we have now, we have Alibaba being truncated up to the S. So we have all the characters that have been truncated are represented with dots. So if we change this side to right side, let's look at what is going to be returned. So we're having only Ali returned, 3 letters being returned. So that is the way the truncating works here. So now let's look at str underscore replace. So want to look at replacing some values or some of the strings that is being used as the target string that we're trying to replace. So we'll copy this again. So now I'm going to pass in the value that I want to replace first. So I want to replace Ali Baba. Then what am I replacing it with? I want to replace it with coffee. So I'll run this line. So we can see what happened here is that it's replacing only the first occurrence of Alibaba. The first occurrence of Alibaba is being replaced. But if we use another version of replace, that's replace all. That's str underscore replace all. So all occurrence of Alibaba is going to be replaced with coffee. So I'll run this. So we can see now Alibaba, all the occurrence of Alibaba has been replaced with coffee. So if there's any question, just pass it into the chat box, then I'll be able to answer that. So now what I want us to do, I want us to work on our data set so that we'll use some of the functions that we've treated so far. So we'll be able to appreciate it more by creating new variables using the mutate function, and that could be part of the skills that we've learned for this class. So I'll go through that now. Okay, going back to our data sets, comedy. Okay, so I want to create a new variable. So I'm going to assign back whatever I've done back into our data set. So here I'm typing in I want to create a new variable using the mutate function. So here I want to extract or detect. I'll use the str underscore detect to create a new variable called comedians. So the comedian's name, we're going to extract it from the joke underscore identifier. So the comedian now is going to be equal to, I will use another functionality called case underscore when. Okay, if you want to know more about this function, you have to type in the question mark case underscore when and read more about it.
Like me, I studied mathematics.
Okay, sorry for that. Okay, we're moving on. Okay, now for us to use the case when function, the case when function, it works on vectors, as you can see, but it's going to help us to look at building two sides of an argument. If the left side is true, we would assign a value on the right side. So I'm going to use the str underscore detect to help me get out the names of all the comedians that we have in this data set. I want to have that name. It makes sense for me to have a column containing all the comedians' name. Then I can now look at the location as well. I look at the location, I can look at the various edition of those events for each of the cities. So here I'm going to first of all look at getting out the comedian's name. Comedians now. So I want to let you see what we have in the joke identifiers variable. So it's going to be capital comedy joke identifier. Okay. So I want to look at what I'm doing here is that I want to first of all convert this variable to factor so that I'll be able to get the different levels that are available. So I'll run this line of code. So you can see we have so many. We have about 127 different categories as levels within the column joke underscore identifier. So, but we are having so much of these values because the comedian's name, I won't call them jokers. Okay, the comedian's name are being attached to the cities where they performed and the different editions of the event. So I want to extract out the names so that we have a meaningful level for each of the comedians. So we'll go back to the script. So now I want it to, looking at the names that are available here, I want to take out each of these names. I want to detect the names. So I'll put it in here. Okay, I want to detect Abororo. So I'm going to detect Apororo with using the str underscore detect. Now I will now assign a value using the this coily line. So I will assign a value Apollo to the column comedian. So whatever Apollo is detected, the comedian's name is going to be Apollo. So we'll continue with that for all the comedians. So I'll continue to do this for a while. So the next person on the list will be Wu. So the next person would be Alibaba. So the next person will be AY. So to make things faster, I want to copy. Okay, AY. So the next person will be AY. So basket mouse. Okay, sorry. So I'm just trying to put all the names of the comedians there. So make sense of what we have. Helen, then Agodai. Agodai. Helen Paul, then. Okay, I'll do another copy and paste in Ctrl C. Okay, so I stopped on Agodai. So I won't die actually. So not now. So clean the trunk. Okay, clean the trunk. Here and here. Okay. Okay, I think time is actually running up. I want to just let you see what I'll get out of this one. So let me just run this level, this out.